Brooklyn Independent Television.
My name is Brandon Graham. I'm curator of Fashion Illustration, A Contemporary Look here at the Brooklyn Public Library. I got the idea for this exhibition because a lot of times people think that fashion illustration has seen its day, it's come and gone. Most of the time, fashion illustration exhibitions are retrospectives. It's always showing the history of fashion illustration. So I definitely wanted to show the application of fashion illustration to the masses.
So today we have a special event for you. Bil Donovan, fashion illustrator, educator, and Dior Beauty's first artist in residence will demonstrate illustration techniques.
I've been involved in fashion illustration for 25 years. I want to get started because we don't have much time, and I want to just take you a little bit through my work and my process. What has changed dramatically today is that through the internet and social networking, you no longer need to have a physical portfolio.
A lot of the best fashion illustrators are now going online, and that's how they're getting a lot of their work. Jennifer Lilia has over 12,000 Facebook fans, and she gets some of the top clients through her following on Facebook.
I'm Jennifer Lilia, and I'm a fashion illustrator. I work in acrylic paint and black ink on paper, and that's just my favorite. I work the acrylics like watercolor, really loose. I layer up the color, and then I finish with black ink detail. I love beautiful fabrics and textures, and I just love paint on paper and interpreting them my way. I wake up every day and I paint. It's pretty awesome.
I'd say 80% of the artwork in this exhibition was for commercial and marketing purposes.
My name is Anja Krönke. I do a lot of work for Europe, for Japan. I use black pen and watercolor mostly. I tend to do very long necks. I think it's just somehow it's interesting to elongate the body and the neck. It's something very elegant. The wavy hair, I don't know, it's just something very dynamic, especially with watercolor. You can really give it some energy.
My name is Carlos Aponte. I'm an illustrator, and I do fashion illustration too. I do line work with ink, but also the ones that people remember the most, it's with masking tape. I think there are two ways of thinking. One will be more specific, it will be more lifestyle, it will be about goods, it will be about cars or traveling. And then there's the other side where the artist is more, take illustration to a different level. They push it more into fine arts.
My name is Don Ale. I get all kinds of people asking me about this particular Chanel girl illustration. That image is a really good representation of the work that I do. It's kind of my Mona Lisa. It's not necessarily technical, it's more dreamlike. I say I like to use a potato and an apple. So I call the mouse a potato and the apple is actually the computer itself.
And one of the great examples of the possibilities of fashion illustration is with Isaac Zanu, the main illustrator for Henry Bendel. So if you go down to Henry Bendel on Fifth Avenue, you're going to see his artwork throughout the store.
It's very hard to talk about your own work, but of what people say is that it's definitely humorous and elegant and whimsical is definitely the word. If you come to my studio, I have a board of inspiration. Could be a movie, music, a photo, or a real person. As the Brooklyn Library did, I think it's an amazing opportunity to show to people what is exactly illustration and what are the possibilities. A lot of illustrators that I met, the show are just amazing, talented people like Bil Donovan. We're going to see one of his demonstrations. I'm very excited to see.
So I'm going to just show you a little bit about my process, how I work.
And one of the things I like about the demos is that it's a teaching tool to see someone's creative process.
You know, I have to warm up a little bit. It's fascinating to allow an audience into that world because most illustrators work in an ivory tower.
And what's nice about Bill is that he can talk and draw at the same time.
Just to get a feeling of the figure first, you could change. You know, the essence of it more than anything else. I'm not trying to capture anything other than you could change anything but the movement very quickly. You know, I start with the head. I think it's really important for you new artists who are beginning to always start with the head and let gravity pull down your line rather than forcing it up. You could change. My goal in doing the demo live is to share my process with an audience and explain to them a little bit about my thinking process, because most of what I do is intuitive. Fantastic, and that's also very important to have a really good model that you have a connection with, that understands what you're doing.
But what I will
So,
normally do
again,
is
I
get a
start at the
model
top,
and do some drawings from that model,
usually try
various studies of that model
nail
to get
the
the
head.
personality and style and spirit of the model.
And then what I do is I'll go, I might ink it a little bit, and I put dry paper here so I could dry it off a little bit. And then I put in the eyes, because I just need to know where that is.
I am basically
Where her face is.
in love
And
with
I'll take
brush and
my
ink
time.
because I love the
Putting in the
spontaneity
eyes.
of it.
Usually if I
I
have
also
much
love the
time,
capricious
I'll do my
nature
But
of
I'm not gonna
brush and
do
ink
that.
because you never know what's going to turn up.
I tell my students, don't get too fussy in the beginning, because usually if you have a model posing, you're not going to have that much time.
And I love that. I love the
And
unexpected.
then what I will do is I'll put in the lips.
So sometimes to demystify that process also perpetuates the genre of fashion
so you
illustration.
can see where I'm at.
The reaction has
And then I'll
been
start
just
to
phenomenal, and I
define-
think this
I
exhibition
have to
definitely
think, so
brings
I'm
in
gonna put
a
it
new
here.
type of crowd, and people get to know and hear about all the resources that are available here at the library.
You know, Donald Judd said a long time ago that painting was dead, and obviously painting wasn't dead. And the same has been said about fashion illustration, that it's passé and it's had its time and place in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and it no longer has an audience. And I find to the contrary that there's a larger audience due exactly to the internet. And as a result, this renewed interest has created something of a renaissance.
And that was our last question, right, Brandon? Okay. Let's give Bill a round of applause. Thank you, folks. Thank you so much. You're so nice.
Watch this and other Brooklyn Independent Television episodes online at bricartsmedia.org/BIT.